Daniela "Danny" O'Connell tried hard not to be noticed as she walked the busy corridors of Crestwood Heights Academy. Standing only 5 feet 3 inches, with thick auburn braids, plain blue spectacles, and a preference for wearing baggy clothes, Danny was practically part of the scenery. That's how she liked it. After her dad, a construction worker, kept moving them for jobs, Danny understood that being unseen kept her safe. What the other students at Crestwood didn't know was that Danny had trained in Muay Thai and Aikido since she was a little girl. Her grandpa, a retired police officer, insisted she learn to defend herself after a mugging in their old neighborhood. Years of hard work had turned her into a dangerous fighter disguised as a quiet, artistic girl. She could easily handle someone much bigger, but Danny promised her family that her skills were only for emergencies. Crestwood Heights Academy was a big brick building in a rich part of New Jersey, with about 2,000 students from all walks of life. The popular crowd ran the school. They sat at their usual table in the cafeteria, and everyone knew who they were. Danny had been there for a month, successfully staying out of trouble by eating lunch in the art room, using different routes between classes, and only talking to teachers when she needed to. The school's top girl was Tiffany Sinclair, a senior with long, sun-streaked hair, expensive jewelry, and a mean attitude. Her best friends were Ashley Carter, a blonde cheerleader with a sharp tongue, and Veronica Diaz, a dark-haired girl whose parents' money kept her out of trouble. Together, they used fear and public embarrassment to control everyone else. Danny's quiet life started to fall apart on a rainy Thursday in early November. She was hurrying to history class, carrying a stack of art supplies, when she accidentally bumped into Ashley near the water fountain. It was a light bump, barely touching Ashley's perfect ponytail, but Ashley acted like it was a major event. "Hey, watch it, dork!" Ashley yelled, her blue eyes flashing with anger. A few students stopped and stared, sensing that something was about to happen. "I'm sorry," Danny mumbled, pushing up her glasses and trying to get to class. "Sorry?" Ashley repeated, her voice getting louder. "Do you know how much this jacket cost?" She pointed to her brand new leather jacket. Danny clenched her fists but tried to stay calm. "I said I was sorry. It was an accident." "An accident?" Tiffany walked over to Ashley, looking at Danny like she was something gross. "Well, look who we have here, girls. The little nobody thinks she can just bump into people and walk away." Veronica stood next to them, blocking Danny's path. "I don't think she knows how things work around here," she said with a fake, sweet smile. Danny felt her body tighten up, recognizing the danger. 3 people, small space, no easy way out. Her training automatically started to figure out the angles and weak spots, but she forced herself to take slow breaths and stay calm. "I really need to get to class," Danny said quietly, trying to go around them. "Class can wait," Tiffany said, putting a perfectly manicured hand on Danny's arm. "I think you need to learn some respect first." More students were gathering, making a circle around them. Danny saw that most of them looked away, not wanting to get involved. She knew this from her other schools. People would rather watch someone else get hurt than risk being the next target. "What's your name, Mouse?" Ashley asked. "Daniela." "Daniela what?" "O'Connell," Tiffany sneered. "Another scholarship case, I bet. You people need to know your place." Danny's hands tightened at the casual insult, but she kept her cool. She'd heard worse at other schools. The trick was not to react, not to give them what they wanted. "I'm not looking for trouble," Danny said firmly. "I just want to go to class." "But trouble found you," Veronica said in a sing-song voice. "And we haven't decided if you've learned your lesson yet." The teasing went on for weeks. Danny's art supplies would disappear from her locker only to show up in the trash. Mean notes were stuffed into her backpack, calling her names that made her face burn. During lunch, if she dared to sit in the cafeteria, drinks would accidentally spill on her, or someone would kick her chair so she would drop her food. Danny put up with it all quietly, like she had at her old schools. Her family had taught her that bullies wanted a reaction, and showing weakness only made things worse. She reminded herself that it wouldn't last forever, that high school was just a short part of her life. But Tiffany and her friends seemed annoyed that Danny didn't react. They were used to tears, begging, or angry outbursts that would let them make things even worse. Danny's calm attitude only made them want to break her down even more. Things got really bad about a month before Christmas. Danny was staying late in the art room, finishing a painting, when she finally packed up her things around 6 o'clock. The halls were mostly empty, with just a few students staying for after-school clubs. She was walking towards the front door, her backpack full of art supplies, when she heard familiar laughter coming from the direction of the auditorium. Danny's heart sank when she recognized Tiffany's high-pitched laugh, followed by Ashley's loud cackle. She quickly turned around, hoping to avoid them, but the sound of footsteps behind her told her that she was out of luck. "Well, well, well," Tiffany's voice echoed in the empty hall. "Look who's trying to sneak away." Danny kept walking, hoping they would get bored, but the footsteps got closer. Soon she was surrounded near the display cases, with Tiffany right in front of her and Ashley and Veronica on either side. "Going somewhere, Mouse?" Ashley asked, pretending to be sweet. "Home," Danny answered, adjusting her backpack and looking for a way to escape. "Not so fast." Tiffany stepped closer, getting into Danny's personal space. "We've been trying to talk to you for weeks, but you keep running away. That's not polite." Danny's training kicked in, figuring out the threats and planning her moves. Tiffany was about 4 inches taller and maybe 15 pounds heavier, but soft from not exercising. Ashley had some muscle from cheerleading, but wasn't very coordinated. Veronica was the least dangerous, but was blocking the closest exit. "What do you want?" Danny asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Respect," Tiffany said dramatically. "You walk around this school like you're better than everyone else, like you don't have to follow the same rules as the rest of us." "I don't think I'm better than anyone," Danny said honestly. "I just want to be left alone." "But that's not how it works here," Ashley chimed in. "Everyone has a place in the social order, and your place is at the bottom." Veronica nodded eagerly. "We're just trying to help you understand where you belong." Danny felt a sense of calm come over her, the same feeling she had in the dojo when facing a tough opponent. Time seemed to slow down as her senses sharpened, noticing every detail of her surroundings and her opponent's positions. "I understand perfectly," she said quietly. "You three are insecure bullies who feel better about yourselves by hurting people who can't fight back." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Tiffany's perfect makeup flushed red with anger, her cool attitude slipping for the first time. "Excuse me," she hissed, stepping even closer until she was almost touching Danny's face. "You heard me," Danny answered, no longer trying to seem weak. Something inside her had changed. A line had been crossed. "You're pathetic," Ashley gasped. "Did she just call us pathetic?" "I think she did," Veronica added, her voice excited at the thought of a fight. Tiffany's hands clenched into fists. "You little nobody. Do you have any idea who you're talking to?" "3 girls who will never be as good as they are right now," Danny said calmly. The slap came suddenly. Tiffany's right hand flashed across Danny's left cheek, hard enough to turn her head and knock her glasses sideways. The sound echoed through the empty hallway like a firecracker. For a moment, everything stopped. Danny slowly reached up and adjusted her glasses, her cheek burning. She could taste blood where her teeth had cut her lip. "Feel better now?" she asked, her voice strangely calm. Tiffany looked surprised that Danny wasn't crying or scared, but quickly went back to being mean. "Much better. Maybe now you'll learn to show some respect." "Or what?" Danny asked, standing up straight. "You'll hit me again?" "Maybe I will," Tiffany threatened, raising her hand for another slap. This time Danny was ready. As soon as Tiffany's hand started to move, Danny's training took over. Years of practice and quick reflexes activated like a switch. She grabbed Tiffany's wrist in midair with her left hand, squeezing it hard enough to make Tiffany gasp. "Don't," Danny said quietly, her voice with a new strength that made all three girls freeze. "Let go of me," Tiffany demanded, trying to pull her arm away, but Danny's grip was like iron. "I warned you," Danny said almost sadly. What happened next took only a few seconds, but seemed to happen in slow motion to everyone there. Danny twisted Tiffany's wrist while stepping to the side, using the force to throw Tiffany over her hip in a perfect Aikido move. Tiffany landed hard on her back, the air whooshing out of her lungs. Ashley reacted first, running at Danny and yelling angrily. Danny easily stepped aside, sticking out her leg to trip Ashley. Ashley fell forward into the display cases with a loud crash, sending trophies flying. Veronica, seeing her friends fall in seconds, turned and ran. She took only 3 steps before Danny's hand grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around. A single finger pressed against a pressure point on Veronica's neck made her knees give way, and she collapsed to the floor, awake but unable to move. Danny stood in the middle of the fallen bullies, breathing normally, her body ready for more. The whole thing had taken less than 10 seconds, and she hadn't even broken a sweat. "I tried to walk away," she said, speaking to all 3 girls who were now looking at her with shock, fear, and dawning understanding. "I tried to ignore you. I tried to be invisible, but you wouldn't let me." Tiffany was slowly sitting up, holding her lower back where she'd hit the floor. "What the hell are you?" she gasped. "Someone you shouldn't have messed with," Danny answered simply. She bent down and picked up her backpack, which had fallen during the fight. "I've been training in martial arts since I was little. My grandpa is a retired police officer. I could have put all 3 of you in the hospital without even trying." Ashley was getting up from the broken trophies, a small cut on her forehead where she'd hit the glass. "You're crazy," she whispered. "No," Danny corrected. "I'm trained. There's a difference." She looked at each of them. "You want to know why I've been avoiding you? It's not because I'm scared. It's because I was trying to protect you from yourselves." Veronica was still on the ground, tears running down her face as she started to feel her legs again. "I can't feel my legs," she whimpered. "It's temporary," Danny assured her. "The feeling will come back in a few minutes. I just used a pressure point, not your spine." The sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway as Mr. Johnson, the school security guard, came around the corner. He stopped suddenly when he saw the scene. 3 popular girls, hurt and messed up, with Danny standing calmly in the middle, holding her backpack. "What happened here?" he asked, reaching for his radio. "They attacked me," Danny said simply. "I defended myself." "That's not true!" Tiffany struggled to her feet, her perfect hair now a mess. "She attacked us. She's some kind of psycho fighter." Mr. Johnson looked doubtful. Danny was standing still, not acting angry or upset. The other 3 girls were clearly the ones who had been hurt the most. "Miss O'Connell," he said carefully, "I need you to come with me to the principal's office." "Of course," Danny agreed. "Should I wait for them to get up, or will someone help them to the nurse?" Her calm attitude confused Mr. Johnson even more. Most students who got into fights were still angry or upset. Danny seemed completely calm, almost peaceful. "I'll call for help," he said, speaking into his radio to ask for backup and medical attention. As they waited, Tiffany kept yelling, "She's dangerous! She could have killed us! She needs to be kicked out!" Danny stayed quiet, knowing that anything she said would be used against her. She'd been through this before at other schools, but never quite like this. Principal Thompson was a tall, serious woman in her 50s who had been in charge of Crestwood Heights Academy for over 10 years. She'd seen all kinds of student problems, but this was unusual. Danny sat quietly in one chair, while Tiffany, Ashley, and Veronica sat in the others, still showing the effects of the fight. The school nurse had said that none of them were seriously hurt, though Veronica complained that her legs were still numb and Ashley needed a bandage for her cut. "I've heard 4 different stories about what happened," Principal Thompson began, "and frankly, none of them make any sense. Miss Sinclair, you say that Miss O'Connell attacked you for no reason." "That's exactly what happened," Tiffany insisted. "We were just talking to her, and she went crazy. She's been trained to fight people or something." Principal Thompson turned to Danny. "Miss O'Connell, what's your side of the story?" Danny took a deep breath. "They cornered me near the display cases. Miss Sinclair slapped me in the face. When she tried to hit me again, I defended myself using martial arts moves I've been learning since I was a kid." "She's lying!" Ashley shouted. "We would never hit anyone." "Actually," Principal Thompson said, looking at a paper on her desk, "we have security cameras in that hallway." She turned her computer monitor so everyone could see it. "Would you like to watch the video?" The black and white video showed the whole thing clearly. There was Danny, surrounded by the 3 other girls. There was Tiffany stepping forward angrily. There was the obvious movement of a slap, Danny's head turning. Then came Danny's quick response, taking down all 3 attackers in seconds. The room was silent as the video ended. "Miss Sinclair," Principal Thompson said sternly, "you just saw yourself attack another student on camera. Would you like to change your statement?" Tiffany's face had turned white. "It wasn't... she made us angry." "By existing?" Danny asked quietly. "By walking through the hallway?" Principal Thompson held up a hand. "Miss O'Connell, your response was a bit extreme, but the video clearly shows you were defending yourself from an attack. However, I'm worried about how much force you used." "I used the least amount of force I could to stop the threat," Danny answered. "I could have seriously hurt all 3 of them if I wanted to. Instead, I used moves designed to disable without causing permanent damage." "She's a menace," Veronica finally spoke up, her voice still shaky. "What if she decides to attack someone else?" Danny turned to look at her. "I've been going to this school for over a month. Have I been angry or violent towards anyone? Have I started any fights? Have I threatened anyone?" Principal Thompson looked at Danny's record. "According to your records, Miss O'Connell, you've never been in trouble at any of your other schools. No problems, no complaints from teachers or students." "Because I don't start fights," Danny said simply. "I finish them." The principal looked at the 4 girls carefully. "Miss Sinclair, Miss Carter, Miss Diaz, you are all suspended for 3 days for assault and harassment. When you come back, you will have to go to anger management classes and do community service." "What about her?" Tiffany demanded, pointing at Danny. "Miss O'Connell will not be suspended, since she was clearly acting in self-defense. However," she turned to Danny, "I strongly suggest you find a way to use your skills in a positive way. Have you thought about joining the martial arts club or helping with self-defense classes?" Danny smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'd like that a lot." As they left the principal's office, Tiffany tried to scare Danny one last time. "This isn't over," she hissed as they walked down the hallway. Danny stopped and turned to face her. "Yes, it is. And if you or your friends ever touch me again, I won't be so nice next time." The calm certainty in her voice made all 3 girls take a step back. News of the fight spread through Crestwood Heights Academy like wildfire. By the next day, everyone knew that the quiet new girl had taken down the school's biggest bullies. The story got bigger and more dramatic with each telling, but everyone knew. Danny O'Connell was not someone to mess with. Things changed immediately. Students who had never talked to Danny before nodded politely when she walked by. Teachers looked at her with interest, especially the sports coaches who started asking about her training. Most importantly, the fear that Tiffany and her friends had created started to disappear. Danny was approached by students who had been bullied and harassed. Some wanted to learn to defend themselves, others just wanted to talk to someone who understood. For the first time in her school life, Danny felt like she belonged. The martial arts club, which had been struggling, suddenly had a lot of new members. Danny became a coach, teaching basic self-defense to students who never thought they could protect themselves. 2 weeks after the fight, something unexpected happened. Danny was eating lunch with her new friends from the martial arts club when Tiffany walked over to their table. The whole cafeteria seemed to stop and watch, waiting to see what would happen. "Can I talk to you?" Tiffany asked quietly, looking nervous for the first time since Danny had met her. Danny looked at her for a moment, then nodded. "Okay." They walked to a quiet corner of the cafeteria, away from everyone else. Tiffany fiddled with her expensive purse, struggling to say what she wanted to say. "I wanted to apologize," she finally said quickly, "for everything, the slapping, the teasing, all of it. It was wrong." Danny waited, knowing there was more. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said," Tiffany went on, "about us being insecure and never getting any better. And you were right. I've been so focused on being popular and feared that I forgot to be a good person." "What made you change your mind?" Danny asked. Tiffany looked embarrassed. "My little sister. She's still in middle school, and she asked me if it was true that I was a bully. Hearing her say that," she shook her head. "I don't want to be someone my own sister is ashamed of." Danny felt her anger fading a little. "Being popular doesn't have to mean being mean." "I know that now," Tiffany said, "and I know this doesn't make up for what I've done, but I want to try to be better, to do better." "It's a start," Danny said. When Tiffany came back from her suspension, she was different. The mean comments stopped, the teasing ended. She still had her friends and her social status, but she didn't use them to hurt people anymore. Ashley and Veronica, following Tiffany's lead, also became less aggressive. The change wasn't just in the former bullies. Other students who had seen Danny stand up for herself started to find their own voices. The silence that had allowed bullying to happen started to break as more people spoke up for those who were being targeted. Danny's reputation as the girl who had changed Crestwood Heights Academy followed her for the rest of the year. She was respected not just for her fighting skills, but for how she had used them responsibly. She had been careful when she could have caused serious harm, and she had used her abilities to help others instead of getting revenge. As Christmas break got closer, Danny thought about how much her life had changed since that day near the display cases. She had friends now, real friends who liked her for who she was, not for what she could do. She had found a purpose in teaching others to protect themselves. Most importantly, she had learned that standing up for yourself meant not just defending your body, but defending your right to live in peace. The shy, invisible girl who had walked the halls of Crestwood Heights Academy in fear was gone, replaced by someone who understood that true strength came not from hurting others, but from knowing when that ability was necessary. Danny O'Connell had finally found her place, and it was exactly where she belonged, standing tall, speaking clearly, and helping others find their own strength. On the last day before Christmas break, Danny found a card in her locker. It was signed by dozens of students, thanking her for making Crestwood Heights Academy a safer place. At the bottom, in handwriting she recognized as Tiffany's, was a simple message. "Thank you for showing me who I could be instead of who I was." Danny smiled as she put the card in her backpack. She had come to Crestwood Heights Academy expecting to hide until graduation. Instead, she had learned that sometimes the best way to disappear is to stand up and be seen for exactly who you are. Someone who refuses to be anyone's victim, and someone who wants to help others find that same courage inside themselves. Twin 4421